Welcome back to another video, and today we are covering the days 2 and 3 of the NBA free agency pool. Let's jump straight into it. To open up, we have Damian Lillard being cut by the Milwaukee Bucks. Damian Lillard, who averaged 25, 5, and 7 last year, and a steal for the Bucks, has been cut after, of course, rupturing and tearing his Achilles in that first round playoff series against the Indiana Pacers, as the Bucks once again, for the fourth year in a row now, have failed to meet expectations when it comes to the playoffs. The Bucks looking to make a big splash. They cut Damian Lillard so they can bring in Miles Turner. Miles Turner signed into a 4 years, $107 million option. So Damian Lillard here, his contract's been extended over 5 years, effectively $22.5 million per year for 5 years. Whereas the Indiana Pacers just weren't looking to pay the luxury tax for Miles Turner. They might have, who knows, they might have done it if Tyrese Halliburton never went down with that injury. But he went down with that injury and everything had changed. Miles Turner was looking for a bigger money, a Naz Reid-like contract. Indiana Pacers weren't willing to pay that, and the Bucks have moved on. They've moved on from Brook Lopez and acquired Miles Turner. Miles Turner, who will now play a younger role, but a pivotal role. He'll play practically the same role as Brook Lopez, except he's a little bit quicker at his age. You could argue he's not quite the defender, but he is, if the same, if not a better rim protector, and he can shoot the ball. Miles Turner's just not going to be asked to do a lot, be asked to do just enough. And the Milwaukee Bucks are hoping that's keeping Miles Turner in town, Giannis Antetokounmpo in town. Now, Damian Lillard, the question is, what's next? He's getting paid a lot of money over the next 5 years. A big enough contract. Does he choose this year to take the year off? Does he sign with a contender towards the end, just after All-Star break, when you can't sign deals? Does he wait then? Pick someone who looks like they're needing a guard. Go there, show up, and play a role. Does he pick a team now? Does he go to someone like the Lakers who needs a guard? Or does he pick a team that's looking good, looking to make a big splash like this year, like the Cleveland Cavaliers? I'm sure for a vet minimum, every single team in the NBA would have Damian Lillard on their roster. Obviously, ignoring the Milwaukee Bucks. So the question to be posed there is, what is next for Damian Lillard as Miles Turner is going to Milwaukee? Next, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 4 years, $285 million super maximum contract. He's worth every cent of it. The MVP, the finals MVP, he's brought Oklahoma City there, first ever championship, and he is worth it. It's a lot of money, but obviously Sam Presti, Mark Dayton and the OKC Thunder need and want Shai Gilgeous-Alexander around. He's getting paid almost $72 million a year. The time's coming now. It's probably 2 or 3 years away. And we're going to look down at the phone, see a Shams Charania notification one day. $100 million contract. It'll be there one day. Moving on. Gershon Yabusele to the New York Knicks. I really liked this for the Knicks. I thought Yabusele, however you want to pronounce it, was fairly good last year for the 76ers. He played his role for a $5 million contract, and it looked like Philly weren't going to be able to afford him. He was going to be worth more money, and he was going to move on to a bigger role, to where maybe he'd be starting, but most likely he's coming off the bench. Here we have him coming off the bench again, playing another big man role. New York needed more bench production. In here they have it. He's a stretch four, a bulky stretch four. He can play inside, he can play outside, he can defend. Gershon Yabusele for $6 million a year for the production he had last year for the Philadelphia 76ers is an absolute steal. We saw what he could do in the Olympics last year against the United States and other teams. He performed very well. This year, Gershon Yabusele, of course, averaging 11 points, 5.6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists and nearly a steal. Some great averages for not much minutes coming off the bench for Gershon Yabusele. Only playing the 27 minutes. He'll probably be asked to play a smaller role over there in New York, or with the new coach Mike Brown, he might have him playing similar minutes and having the starters play less minutes, hoping to keep a healthy team throughout the rest of the season. Then as we go through, a big trade, in a sense, for the Denver Nuggets. And I really like this trade. They, of course, 2 days ago brought in Cam Johnson, and they brought in Bruce Brown. And now they're trading for Jonas Valanciunas for Dario Saric. Dario Saric felt like he didn't even play a minute last year for the Denver Nuggets. He barely touched the floor. He barely did anything. Now they're trading in for Jonas Valanciunas, a big man, a center, someone who can be reliable behind Nikola Jokic, someone who they haven't had in years, who can do a job. He can play inside. He's big. He's tough. He is a presence inside the key on the defensive end. He's capable of putting out some shots and getting some points. Like, he'll get some baskets. He's capable of some okay games. He can block, and he can, most importantly, he can fill the minutes when Nikola Jokic isn't on the floor. That is exactly what the Denver Nuggets have been looking for. Dario Saric did not provide that, and Jonas Valanciunas will. Moving forward, Gary Harris, 2-year deal with the Bucks. I don't mind this. There's a lot of deals going over there in Milwaukee. They've retained a few guards. They've traded out Pat Connaughton, and now they've brought in Gary Harris. And I don't mind this for Gary Harris. His season in Orlando was up and down. He was up and down in Denver. He's looking to move on. He's looking to make a bigger splash and play a more important role on a team that needs some other people to stand up. A 2-year deal for Gary Harris with a player option on the second season. He can really push here, have a good year alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo, and help the Milwaukee Bucks be a successful team this year. They can make it past the first round, and if Gary Harris can play a role there, he could earn himself a bigger contract next year and the years after. As we just said, Milwaukee Bucks trading Pat Connaughton and 2 of their second-round picks for the Micic Vasilij. I don't really know how to pronounce his first name. It's more of a money trade, this one, for the Milwaukee Bucks, if we have to be honest. Micic can play his role. He can play alright. Pat Connaughton, though, getting paid way too much money for what the Milwaukee Bucks need him for. That's why they've traded him out, and they've had to trade out the picks to the Hornets as compensation for taking on the contract of Pat Connaughton. I don't expect Micic to do very much for the Milwaukee Bucks this year. Moving on, Dennis Schroeder, a great contract for him. 3 years, $45 million with the Sacramento Kings. Of course, he had a rough year last year. He got traded around. He was in Brooklyn. He was in Golden State. And he finally ended up in Detroit, where his second half of the year and the playoffs, he was huge. Him next to Cade Cunningham, him running the offense on his own. And specifically in the playoffs, he showed up big time against New York. He was a great player, and he was a reason that Detroit had such a successful year compared to the year before, where they, of course, had 28 straight losses. They've had such a great year, and they're looking to go one up and one more this year, and hopefully make a bigger playoff splash. Although, the Detroit Pistons, this will hurt. It's a lot of money, and it's probably money that the Pistons would not have wanted to offer to Dennis Schroeder, but he did play such a pivotal role as another ball handler next to Cade Cunningham. The Pistons will be hoping that Jaden Ivey can come back this year, of course, of his injury, and provide a good role and play maybe somewhat similar to Dennis Schroeder and take some pressure off Cade Cunningham. Moving on, Jericho Sims, 2 years, going back to the Milwaukee Bucks. Doesn't do much. He played 53 games. He didn't play much of those 53 games last year. He'll get some minutes this year, though, and he can continue to prove himself. Sandro Mazgushevsky, not sure how to say him, has gone to the Toronto Raptors, and I really like this for the Toronto Raptors. Sandro had a couple big games last year. I believe he had a 37-piece or something like that. He performed well when he was given the minutes. It's just didn't always have the minutes there. So if he goes over to Toronto, a rebuilding team, San Antonio, of course, have a lot of young guards. They don't need another guard there. He can go play a role. He can go get some minutes. He'll get some minutes early on in the season, and he can buy himself some more minutes through just playing hard. And I believe he could be one of those players who you see in the NBA for a little while on these cheap contracts because he continues to earn these contracts. Same with the Toronto Raptors. We have Jakob Poeltl agreeing on a 4-year, $104 million contract extension. I like this for Poeltl. I don't know how much I like this for the Raptors. They are paying Jakob Poeltl a fair bit of money. He's getting paid more than Jared Allen, for example, and he's playing over there on the Raptors, who are already paying a lot of money. Scotty Barnes has got him paid. RJ Barrett has got him paid. Grady Dick has to get paid. Emmanuel Quickley is on a huge contract for someone who barely touches the floor. So the Raptors have kept their center, and they've kept some stability there. But this could be a contract that the Raptors look to use as a trade piece. If they ever look to make a big trade, if there's some more disgruntlement over there for Giannis in Milwaukee, if someone's looking out, the Toronto Raptors have money in an okay player here that they can bundle together with a few other players and a few other picks and trade him away when that time comes, if that time comes. We keep moving on here. Josh Minott has agreed to a 2-year, $5 million with the Boston Celtics. $5 million deal with Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics just picking up a bunch of players who have barely played recently. I like the opportunities they're giving these players, but I don't know how much they're really going to be able to do. Another deal for Denver here, though. And another heartbreaking deal for the Detroit Pistons. Something I love for Denver here. Free agent Tim Hardaway Jr. 1-year deal with the Denver Nuggets. A sharpshooter. He can dribble. He can defend enough. He is a good player, Tim Hardaway Jr. And we know these types of players that are catch-and-shoot players that play best when someone's feeding them. You saw how well he played with Cade Cunningham. He played very well with Dennis Schroeder. And that game is just going to elevate to the next level when he has Nikola Jokic, the best player in the world, feeding him the ball. Expect Tim Hardaway Jr. to have another good season this year and possibly earn himself a payday or an overpay from another team next year. This is another great deal for Denver. They are looking great. Detroit, though, on the other hand, once again losing another key player. He's not a huge player in there. He's not the most important player, but he is important. He is one of those players who can take some pressure off Cade, but can also shoot. We saw 2 years ago the Detroit Pistons were terrible. They could not stretch the floor. They had no one who could shoot the ball from outside 15 feet. And now they have just lost Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dennis Schroeder, who allowed these people to have more room, who allowed Cade Cunningham to go to work. And this just, you can't see it going too well for them. On the other hand, though, the Los Angeles Clippers waiving Drew Eubanks. Drew Eubanks signing with the Sacramento Kings. Does nothing for me. Don't really care. The Kings are going to continue to be a bad team this year. Everyone last year was saying they're going to be a 3 seed. I remember debating with one of my good friends. He was saying they're going to be a 3 seed, Sam. They're going to be a 3 seed. I told him, no, mate. They're not making the playoffs. They're a bad side. They're just another Chicago Bulls, and look where we are. This does nothing. But after all my trashing, all my throwing around of the Detroit Pistons, they have agreed to a deal. Duncan Robinson, 3 years, $48 million. Now you could say this is a slight overpay. He's getting paid a lot of money here for someone who has proven to be slightly inconsistent over his career and at times couldn't buy himself minutes on a questionable Miami Heat team. But Duncan Robinson has been a great player over his journey for the Miami Heat. He earned himself a payday. He earned himself a lot of money a few years ago now. He is a shooter. He will stretch the floor. He can rebound. He does a lot of things. They are asking him to fill the shoes of Tim Hardaway Jr. They're not asking him to fill Dennis Schroeder's shoes, but Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, who on earth knows what's happening to Malik Beasley? Who knows? The investigation, the contract, nobody. They ask him to fill the shoes. They're trading out Simone Fontecchio, which is okay. I don't mind Simone Fontecchio as a player, but the Detroit Pistons barely played him last year. Moving on, Trey Mann, 3 year, $24 million with the Charlotte Hornets. I don't mind this. Re-signing, giving himself a good opportunity. He can be a decent little player. He's found himself a nice little home there in Charlotte, and I like it. Then moving on to day three's news. Mike Brown signed as the coach of the New York Knicks. Now, Mike Brown, an ex-Cavalier coach, an ex-Sacramento coach. I like Mike Brown. I think he was wrongly outed there of the Sacramento Kings this year. I don't think it was his fault. I think he was handed a bad roster. Obviously, he had lost the locker room a little bit, but once he was gone, you can see how much he meant to the players. De'Aaron Fox didn't want to play if Mike Brown wasn't there. Mike Brown has earned himself another role. He's earned himself a role with a great New York team. New York are looking to change their play style here, to have some players play less minutes, have their bench play more minutes. They've brought in bench production. They've brought in Gershon Yabusele. They've brought in Jordan Clarkson. Expect New York to this year be once again a competitive team in the East. I'm expecting them to be the second seed behind your Cleveland Cavaliers. As we move on here, Spencer Dinwiddie, 1 year deal to the Charlotte Hornets. He averaged good points and good assists last year as a starter for the Mavs. Not too much off the bench, but this is someone who will be more of a locker room leader and provide a role next to LaMelo Ball over there in Charlotte. So we continue to move on. Dante Exum going back to the Dallas Mavericks. I like this for Dante Exum and I like this for Dallas. He's a ball handler. He can defend. He can shoot. Dante Exum, to an extent, can do everything that you can ask him, and he can do it well. So I'm a big fan of this here. Then this is the big deal for the Lakers. Not for the league, but for the Lakers. Someone they've been needing. They've been rumoured for a centre. They've, of course, traded for Mark Williams and then rescinded it. They've been needing a centre for a while. And DeAndre Ayton is going to the Los Angeles Lakers. The details of his contract do not look like they're out yet. But after the All-Star break there last year, DeAndre Ayton was very good. He is a good career player. He's known to have a lack of effort. He's known to not want to show up all the time. He's going to be under the biggest spotlight in basketball in Los Angeles. Some of the worst fans. DeAndre Ayton needs to show up. But we all know what Luka Doncic can do when he has a center who is playable. We saw Jackson Hayes was played off the floor. He was that terrible. But Derek Lively, the few other centers over there in Dallas, Luka Doncic and a center, a good quality center, are perfect together. If DeAndre Ayton can change his mindset a little bit here, play a bit more tough, a bit more rugged, play in the post, stop taking those stupid fadeaway shots and go at the rim, this is a big deal here for the Los Angeles Lakers. A 2-year deal with a player option. This could be very good. That's the end of our news for these first 2 days. Of course, we're going to be sitting on the edge here, waiting for more, seeing some more details on LeBron. Is he still wanting to be in LA? He's been questioned to be wanting to leave. And what's going to happen to Damian Lillard? Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe.